You've looked at the rubric, and you've thought, okay, I kind of like it, but it's a lot of paper, right? You've looked at the simulation, and you're like, okay, fine, but how are we going to get all this information put together? So I've been working with this vendor, and I'm going to take some personal credit here. Well, first of all, let me tell a story, as if I have. So we did this with principals, and we had them go through the simulation on paper, and some people were like, oh man, there's got to be an easier way. You know, and then one of your colleagues, Mr. Chris Vance, who's in this room right now, he said, you know, I've got some expertise on Excel. I think I can probably build an Excel solution that can do all this in an automated fashion. So we're like, okay, Chris, go for it. By the way, I can't pay you. He's like, no, it's okay. I talked with my wife, and she's agreed that I can focus some of my time on this. She's in this room too, okay? And so he created the Excel file. So what happened is, throughout the state last year, we had principals doing their evaluation on the Excel file. We had roughly 300 principals on it. And then when it came time to collect the evidence, we couldn't get it very easily because they had to mail us their Excel file, and then we had to go in and pull out the data file by file. And we thought, oh my gosh, when we have 6,500 teachers in our pilot, how are we ever going to do that? So we worked with Chris and Patrick Mount and another guy named Sed Keller from the San Juan Bosis, and we started thinking smarter, and we met this vendor called Bloomboard, and they were like, yeah, we want to do this for you. And I'm like, okay, well, our rubric's different. Chris, were you on that call when we were with them and they were talking about the rubric is different, and they kind of got silent? And then I said, and by the way, we don't want to pay anything. Ever. Ever. Okay, so we had vendors saying, we'll support you for the pilot. And so what I heard is, okay, you'll give it to me free at the state, I'll make the teachers addicted to it, then I'll take it away, unless they can find a way to pay for it, which in some of your smaller districts means giving up a teacher, right? So we were on this call and we were talking about it, and Chris did all the algorithms to do all the scoring, so all that was done. They didn't have to do much, just reconfigure their whole system. So anyway, we ended up talking with them, and then Jason Lang, the CEO, called me. Well, he emailed me at like 1 a.m., and I happened to be awake. It wasn't because I was driving to someplace. But, sorry, that was supposed to be funny. Right? And his email said, Toby, I've been thinking about your rubric, and it makes sense. Because it's an item analysis. We can see where you're strong and where you're weak. You don't have to go in and try to understand what the rubric says. It's all right there in front of you. We would like to be a partner with Colorado, and we'll do all of the infrastructure and support and host it for all the educators in Colorado for free during the pilot and beyond. Yeah. But, yeah, right. Now, it's not without its issues, because you have to have Firefox or you have to have Google Chrome. Right? So Julio, if you're in here or if you're mic'd in, make sure that all your educators have those things. Or administrator access so that they can do it. And then here's what it'll look like when I upload the information. So I'm getting information from your districts right now about your names and your educator IDs and your email addresses. Because when you come to this little box here, you're going to put in your email address. We're going to pretend that mine is test coach, because that's the principal sample. And I'm going to put in my highly secure password. All right? So when I log on as the principal, I'm going to come to this little section here. And it's got some people on the shelf. These are teachers. You're going to have a profile page, and we're going to ask you to fill out the profile page. You can, if you have a webcam, you can take a little snapshot, and your picture will be added just like this guy. If you don't have a good hair day or something, or a no hair day like me, you can be like, no, I'm not putting a picture up. You can also tell what subject you teach, you know, those types of things. I'll show you the profile in a minute. But here's how the principal's going to have to do this for every single teacher. Yay, clap again. Okay, good. When they log on, they'll click this Teachers tab, and it'll be a roster of all the teachers in their school. Right? Easy enough. They'll see them. Then they'll come up here to Observations, and they'll schedule an observation. They'll pick the teacher that they want to schedule the observation for and click continue. Here's where the rubrics are going to be. And they're going to have those names, not these names. We're fixing it because my boss, Dr. Katie Anthus, didn't like anything negative. So remember the rubrics, how they're different? Elementary, English, and language arts only. That means that the elementary teacher that's departmentalized that doesn't do math. Right? Remember we did that? Nod if you're following. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, those are going to be named somewhat intuitively so that the principal can select the right rubric based on what you teach. I'm going to pick this one. This is the elementary teacher that doesn't teach reading or math. That's not real obvious on that title, but the new one will be. Then there's a scheduling section for them to schedule things. They're going to probably schedule your self-assessment to be done by maybe September 21st, okay? By the end of the school day. Now they can send an invitation to their calendar and they can send one to you. Because what did you log on with? Your email address. So all this happens. You can use Outlook, you can use Gmail, it's just a generic calendar invite. Then you click schedule and continue. It asks when they want to schedule their observation. Maybe they're not ready to do that yet. They're going to click schedule later. Right? This body of evidence, we're going to rename this. It's going to say schedule the professional growth plan and artifacts. This will be open all year long so that you can do it when you have to and you can contribute to it the whole year. I'll show you more about that in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and schedule it. Oh, this is the mid-year review. Did I go too fast? Okay. I'm going to schedule the hang on, let me go back. So the body of evidence, I'm going to schedule that for the same day as the self-assessment so that it's turned on. And I'm not going to send any invitations on that because I don't want to get too crazy. Let's do the mid-year review in, oh no, it's got to be done before the first semester. So let's do it December 25th. Everybody's free. Nobody's busy. I'm going to schedule that and continue. And then the end of the year review, this is where the final ratings are discussed. I'm just clicking through. Let's do it in May. Let's do it May 15th, okay? And then let's send an invitation for that. And then schedule and finish. Oh, I have to pick a time. Okay, finish. Now what happens is I get this little like overview for every teacher. And it shows the self-assessment, the observation is unscheduled. This is going to be the artifacts folder, the mid-year review, the end-of-year review, and then at the bottom of this page, that's where the principal does their ratings. I'm going to show you how all of this works, okay? All right, so right now the principal is done. Oh, wait. How many observations does your association negotiate that you have to have? Do you have associations? No? Okay, great. I don't mean great like that's a good thing. I mean, it makes it easier for this demonstration. Probationary teachers are required to have 2 observations. So if this person was a probationary teacher, all I would do is come up here and click add. And then I would add what I wanted to add, which is another classroom observation. I'll schedule it later. And now look, there's 2 observations here on the deck. If your association agreement has more than that, you can put them in there and handle it that way. All right. I'm done with the principal for now because now it's time for the teacher to go in and do their self-assessment, right? So let me log out. And now I'm going to log in as the teacher. Again, with the highly secure password. The IT people are freaking out that it's 1 digit. So when I'm a teacher, I'm going to log on. And please don't get overwhelmed by the number of stickies there. We recommend 3 growth goals, but you can have more than 3 on this solution if you want to. But once you get past 3, you get a little spread thin. Right? So just focus on 3 things. So when you log on, you'll see your dashboard, and it'll have your goals right there. I'm just going to go ahead and click on this. I'm going to click on my observations. I've done this demo a million times, as you can see here. But here's the one that I picked today. So I'm just going to click on that. And now I've got a to-do list. Okay? First thing I have to do is my self-assessment. This allows me to upload any evidence that I have right away, if I have any. I don't have any, so I'm just going to click on Done. Nothing to share, so I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to come back to this. Now I'm ready to do my self-assessment. Look what happens. Here's the rubric. It opens it up, Standard 1A. The column on the right are all of the elements that are associated with the standards. Remember the squares and the circles? The squares are going to be blue. This one's wrong, but the squares are going to be blue. Right? Everything that's observable in the classroom are going to be gray. So Standard 5, just so I can show you, Standard 5 is teachers reflecting on their practice. Watch what happens. Everything is blue. You're not going to go and expect to see a teacher reflecting on their practice in a classroom observation. You're going to do this at other times. All right, so let's do this first one. Let's do two together. So here's 1A. I know that I'm not in this column. I feel it in my bones. I do believe that I align my plans I do believe that I develop my lesson plans based on Colorado academic standards. Just by show of hands, is there anybody that's never heard the term Colorado academic standards? Just kidding. Keep your hands down, please. The district's plan for instruction and student needs. Now, this part is about developing the lesson plans. This part is about aligning them, right? So yes, I do this, I do this. I believe I do that. I believe I do that. And I believe I'm the best vertical collaborator in the world. I think that I should do the statewide training on vertical collaboration. I do this. I do that. My students do these things. Okay? And my families are always talking with me about their learning. So I think I'm exemplary here. Down here, I can have some comments if I want to. I'm the best vertical in the world. Many exclamation points, okay? But I'm just going to keep that private. Add the comment. Now, if I scroll down, I can have my comments of what I was thinking. What do I want to talk to my supervisor about, right? Like, if I have something I'm not clear about, I can put a comment here. That way when I'm going to my mid-year review, I can talk to them about it. Now I'm going to do 1B. Okay, so 1B, here I am. I'm going to get started. And then I'm going to have a system crash. The self-assessment does not have to be done in one sitting. You can close it out. You can have a power outage. It's going to save right where you were the last time you checked something or typed something in and clicked outside of the box. That self-assessment. Could you imagine losing that thing? Right? Okay, so now I have to log back on. Bear with me. If it works right, it'll be right where we left off. If it works wrong, just believe me that it works. Okay, so here I am. Just teacher, P. Okay, observations. You're only going to have one observation, so you won't have to do all this scrolling. I'm going to go back to my self-assessment. Click on 1B. There it is. The one arrow that I put in there, the one checkbox, right? When I crashed the system. So I'm just going to stop right here on that, and I'm going to show you what else you can do in this. Remember I told you about the profile? Up here, there's a profile. This is where you can take a picture of yourself. You just click change. You put in your name, your email address, your birthday if you want, what school you're in, the grade that you teach or grades, and then we're going to populate this. We're going to put in the subjects, things that we want to do analysis on. Early childhood teachers, special education teachers, career and technical education teachers. If we get enough of you and we can study how the rubric works for you, we might be able to tell that this rubric is not relevant for you. If we have enough data, we'll build a new one that matches. If we find out that it's correlated and that it works, then we can tell you, yes, this works for people in your subjects. But we need to know what you teach, and we don't collect it at the state, so you'll be doing this on the profile. Okay? And then, of course, that's all done. Now we can come up here to goals. This is one of my favorite sections. If I click on add or manage goals, I'm just going to delete some of these things, I think. I try to delete these things regularly so that it's not so visually overwhelming. Delete. So you can kind of see how that works, right? Well, if I do a self-assessment, I can do my organization priorities, and wherever I did my self-assessment, whatever I was rated is going to be here in the blue. 1A was not supposed to be proficient. Maybe I have a scoring issue. These are what we're dealing with Bloomboard, so let me just come back up here to this. I want to go back and make sure that I didn't do it wrong. And you can change your self-assessment as you move through it. I'm supposed to be exemplary in Standard 1A. Oh, here's why. I didn't click done. When I'm finished with all of my self-assessment, I'm going to come up here and click done. Then I'm asked if I want to share it. Remember, there's a lot of value in sharing it, so I'm going to say yes. But if I don't want to share it, I don't have to. And I can certainly come back and change it at any time by clicking that. Okay? Whew, I'm glad I got that figured out. So here I am on my goals. Add or manage goals. Click on my organizational. Oh, there we go. See it? The little gray button is there in exemplary. And then this one, I rated myself as partially proficient. Because I'm pretty good at literacy, which means I know what I don't know. So that's why I ranked it there. Here are the labels: not evident, partially proficient, proficient, accomplished, and exemplary. So if the organization goes in and identifies elements of focus, I can sort my ratings based on those elements. That's kind of important. If I want to know what my strengths are, I can click on this, and I can see my 5 highest or my 5 lowest. They didn't turn this on for me, but it works just like this button, but it goes in and gets you what you ranked yourself highest in and what you ranked yourself lowest in. Then what you do is you say, oh my gosh, George has this as a priority. I better pick this as a goal, so I'm going to add it to goal number 2. And then when I scroll down, I'm going to see 1B is added to goal number 2. It's tagged. Okay. When I click on View Details for this, I can write in what my goal is as a simple overview, right? Which is, I guess I'll just try to be more awesome. Okay, my goal. You guys, am I losing you? Okay. This is pretty overwhelming. But it's a SMART goal. And then if I want to add this goal to anything besides 1B, I can add it to 2A. I can add it to 2D. And then, where'd it go? I can add it to 2A and 2B. And then when I click Save, look, those get tagged. And if I want to change it, I can just close it right off of there. I can write my SMART goal. Be done with that. What else is there on this one? So that's my goal setting page. You know, lots of good things to do there. When I come back into this one, I want to go to this. And I have to give you guys like a navigation sheet so you know how to navigate this thing. Because you don't want to be doing all this all the time, I can tell you that. Down here, those are my 2 observations. Here's the place, oops. Here's the place that's going to be called Professional Growth Plan and Artifacts. It's basically a folder. So I'm going to click on Upload Evidence. When I click Upload, it opens up my own Documents folder. And then I can pick something to upload, and it puts it in a folder. It's supposed to put it in a folder. This is so hard to do with my neck tilted this way. Hey, good idea. That would be so smart. Ow. Maybe I could turn the computer too. So now what I've done is I've uploaded an artifact. And then if I want this artifact to tell the story about something, all I do is highlight the section of the artifact that's relevant. And I come over here and I tag it to the element that I'm trying to use the artifact for. Save it, and now it's tagged to the evidence table. Isn't that cool? Okay, click done. So that, and then all of this can be shared too. Okay. So now let me stretch my knees. Holy Toledo. Any questions so far? Yes, ma'am.
You said it can be shared. So when you say it can be shared, when they do share, I can see it, or can I always see it, or I can't see it unless they block me?
So the question is, what can I see if I'm the supervisor, right? If you're the supervisor, you can only see what the teacher lets you see. And they can only see what you let them see. Okay? It's a negotiation. All right? You had a question over here?
Are you under the assumption that all of this will be uploaded using flatbed scanners, or taking the time to enter all of your, if you're low tech and have a file to use this, or is there still a possibility you could still have it?
Okay, so the question is, do I have to upload every artifact through this interface? Let's say that you have a portfolio of work because you're an art teacher or something else. You may not want to take the time to scan things. You may just take that in to show evidence to your principal. This just allows you to use your desktop and your regular place where you typically keep most of your files to be able to upload them. And they can upload MP3 files. They can upload video files, but it costs $10 per upload. So don't upload video. I'm going to ask them to turn that off, okay? But please don't upload video. What we thought about as a workaround is if you have video and you have it posted to an internal site or something, you could post a link to the video. Or if you have something on YouTube or something, you can do it that way. It'll do PDFs and Word documents and pictures. So anything that you have in your computer, you do it that way, but it's not to force you away from using whatever else your format goes in. I know for me, I used to like to do school plays, right? So I would like to use that as an artifact, but what I would probably do is do like a survey of the parents who came to the play, and then I would just share that with my principal as an artifact. It's really going to be, this is a pilot year to see how this all works. Anyway, any other questions so far? Yes, sir.
When a principal is scheduling, does it communicate with the principal's Outlook to see if it conflicts with other non-Bloomboard stuff?
So the question is, when the principal is scheduling, does it check with the principal's Outlook? The way I understand it, it just creates an event, and then it sends it to the principal. So they'll have to have their Outlook up, or they'll have to just manage it differently. Questions? Okay. So I've shown you the growth goals, I've shown you the artifacts folder, I've shown you the self-assessment. Now I'm going to go back in as the principal and show you how everything works together with the principal ratings. Okay. This is a better way to look at the screen, by the way, so thank you to whoever suggested that I move the table. Sign out. Sign in. I only got that error because I'm on the same browser. Okay, so now I'm going to come in to my teachers. I'm going to pick Will Schuster. I'm going to go into his observation. I'm going to pick the last one. All right, so now I can see that I've done my self-assessment. Remember, I checked done. Now, somebody asked, can a teacher check done without doing their self-assessment? The answer is yes. So teachers, it's up to you to have the integrity to do the self-assessment. If you don't do the self-assessment, I'll show you what happened. But you don't have to share it. So it's kind of like, I'm going to be taking for granted that you're going to do your self-assessment. If you do share it, when I come down here to my principal ratings, because remember, after you do your self-assessment, the next time we talk about this is the mid-year review. I come into my principal ratings, and here's where you rated yourself. I'm going to open this up, and I have empty check boxes, and I start to do the same process. Yes, I believe that he does those things. I believe he does these things. But I don't ever see evidence that he collaborates vertically. I see a lot of evidence that he collaborates with his team, but not with the team before him or after. And yes, I have evidence that his students are doing these things. So then I'm going to just click done. So now what I can see is I can see my rating and I can see their rating. When I come here to this one, I know what they rated themselves in their self-assessment, but I'm going to come through with fidelity, and I think that they're a fantastic literacy teacher. I think that they're doing all of these things. So I'm going to rate them like that. See this little thing? This means it's all saving to the server. Click done. And now I can see where I'm alike and where I'm different. Do we have to have a conversation here? Yes. Because I'm going to rate him partially proficient and he thinks he's exemplary. That should not be slid under the door in the last 2 weeks of school. Should we have a conversation here? Yes. Because I need to tell this teacher that they're doing better than they think they are. They need some support. They need some recognition for the hard work that they're doing. This helps the principal manage that conversation by focusing it on where there's areas of difference. If you try to talk about every single one of those elements, you're going to be in that conference forever. You don't have enough time to do that. So these two things work together to maximize the use of your time. Any questions on Bloomboard? Okay. So this is why we didn't want you to do the self-assessment on paper pencil, because you would have had to do it again on this, and I want to save you that time and effort. What's your question in the back? The question is this just available for the pilot districts? No. Bloomboard can host any rubric, and you can talk to them with whatever district you're in to host whatever rubric you want. And you can even pilot the model system rubric, because I'm going to turn it on for everybody in the state that wants to try it. You have to send me an email, and we have to communicate about that offline. But Bloomboard will do all of your support. I'm supporting all the districts that are in the pilot. Yes, sir.
So this one is the principal. I take it the teacher then has the same thing, so they see what the principal's evaluated them as.
That's correct. If the principal shares their ratings, the teacher can see how they've been rated. So then that can make even more meaning in the mid-year conference. Also, I'm uploading the principal version. So the principals are going to do their self-assessments on here also. It'll be a totally different rubric, and only their supervisors will have access to those. Back in the back, Anthony.
Is it supported by different operating systems or just concerned with Internet Explorer?
It's web-based, so it's about the browser. And if you use Microsoft Internet Explorer, you just have to do the Google Chrome add-in. And if you use or you can use Firefox.
But it doesn't have like proprietary things? Like about using Linux? Okay.
I don't know. We'll have to test that out. Okay. Any more questions about Bloomboard? No?